Hey friends, welcome to Wired and Well. If the words artificial intelligence make you think of Terminator and war games, you're not alone. But AI is more than science fiction. It's now woven into our everyday lives. So let's break it down Gen X style, clearly, simply, and with a little bit of jargon. Okay, so you might be wondering, who am I? So I'm Cindy, and I'm a librarian and a technology expert. And I've been teaching people how to use technology for over 25 years. And on this channel, Wired and Well, we Gen Xers take a look at the various applications and innovations that have come out that help us to live smarter, not harder, and be able to thrive in our homes. And today, what we're going to do is take a look at artificial intelligence. What actually is it? Why does it matter? And what are some of the innovative ways that we can use it in our daily lives to help us thrive? At its core, artificial intelligence is a technology that attempts to mimic the human brain. It doesn't have emotions or consciousness, but it tries to develop logic patterns based on data that it's presented with. It takes a lot of data to get artificial intelligence to make accurate or as accurate as possible predictions. And you have to remember that these are predictions and they're not always going to be perfect. You can think of artificial intelligence as your digital assistant. It's going to take the patterns of your everyday life and it's going to try to predict what you're going to want. So, for example, Amazon recommends if you read a book or a series of books, Amazon with artificial intelligence is going to start to build a pattern of you. And eventually it's going to start to recommend books that you might find interesting based on a number of different data points, not just what you've read, but what people in your demographic have read, people in your zip code have read, people in your age group have read. And that is artificial intelligence. In the early 1940s and into the 50s, Alan Turing was a computer scientist. He was also a World War II code breaker. And he believed that a computer could actually mimic a human brain and begin to think for itself. He was the first pioneer, I guess you would say, of artificial intelligence. Turing and the Turing test of whether or not a computer is actually displaying artificial intelligence is a known standard. So now we get into the 1960s and 70s when you have a period of experimentation. So there were a number of devices that were developed. ELIZA was one that was mimicking a counselor, and it would ask you a series of questions and it would play on like the last words that you said to elicit the next question and the next response from you. One of the really most compelling artificial intelligence is Kismet. And Kismet was a bot that learned off of language models, primarily of children. So they had Kismet learn children's language, how children talk, and mimic that with its interactions. And this was one of the examples where anthropologists talked about the anthropomorphization. I'm never going to get that word right, but the humanizing, I guess, the humanizing of artificial intelligence, primarily because of the way it looked. Now, if we fast forward to today, the artificial intelligence that we have is in our computers and in our cell phones, and it doesn't necessarily have a face. Although I'm going to show you throughout this channel that there are artificial intelligence that do have face, and they do have faces that are humanized in some way. So, what can artificial intelligence do? Well, artificial intelligence can compile millions and millions of pieces of data and rapidly categorize it and analyze it and come up with a response to your query. And your query is called a prompt. So this is one of the first pieces of jargon you're going to learn in AI, and that's prompt engineering. So prompt engineering is very simply the question you ask it. And so the more sophisticated the question you can ask the artificial intelligence, the better your results are going to be. So what you have to remember though is it's looking for patterns, and artificial intelligence is going to look through numbers, through images, through words, and it's going to find either patterns or words that are tinged or words that are next to other words in order to pull a response to you. That's why you get sometimes what we call hallucinations, which is the next piece of jargon word. So a hallucination is a sentence that makes absolutely no sense. So if you're asking it, where is the dog? And the response is something like, the dog is on the table. It could actually be thinking of the word hot dog and thinking of it as a food, and a food is sitting on the table. So remember that it is not a human. It doesn't have awareness, and it's not going to be what we call self-verifying. It's not going to check itself, at least not right now. That's coming later on. Okay, so some of the other things that it can do for you. It can route you on a Google map. It can answer a question when you say, "Hey Alexa." It can run spam filters on your email. It can power your smart home gadgets. It's like having a personal DJ, a personal assistant, a travel agent, a psychologist, a personal trainer, all rolled up into one. So, as I said before, there are some risks in using it. It doesn't always get the answers correct. And there also is issues of privacy. So as we go through them, when we look at some of these gadgets throughout the channel, as we're looking at different tools that we can use, remember there's always going to be the issue of your privacy. So to recap, artificial intelligence is a computer system that can think for itself and do some sort of application. So artificial intelligence can be a self-driving car. Artificial intelligence can be Alexa. Artificial intelligence can be recommendations that you get for movies and Netflix. These are all artificial intelligence. And as you can tell, it permeates through all different aspects of your life. But artificial intelligence is also something that you've probably heard a lot of called ChatGPT. So that is generative artificial intelligence. That is artificial intelligence that generates something. It creates something based on, as we talked before, the jargon, your prompt. So in the case of ChatGPT, it's primarily text. It's a chat. It's a text between you and the artificial intelligence. You ask it a series of questions. It goes out. Its language model, its database, its set of information is pretty much the known internet. It goes out and it pulls what it thinks is the results that you want to get back. So now there's other types of generative artificial intelligence. There's artificial intelligence that will recreate images. So we've seen that. We've seen the AI fake images all over the internet. Everybody's seen them. They're on apps on your phone. They're on Facebook. You're seeing them everywhere. That is artificial intelligence. There's artificial intelligence that will make music. There's artificial intelligence that will make songs with music. There's artificial intelligence that will create poems. So pretty much there's an artificial intelligence for almost everything that you might want to do or know about. And so in this channel, we will go through and we will talk about different types of artificial intelligence. But for right now, this is just a 101 on what is artificial intelligence and what can you do with it and why it might be important to you. So why it might be important to you, as I've kind of alluded to throughout, is it is an assistant for you. It can help you in so many different areas of your life. And we will take a look at some of the more specialized areas that you can use it for your health, for your home, even for your work if you're still working. Okay, so do you think you know which devices use AI and which ones don't? I'm going to put a list of 10 up on the screen, and you try and guess which ones use AI. Okay, now here's the answers. Now, if you got some of them wrong, don't be alarmed. You're like many of us because AI, as I keep saying, is permeated into everything. So that's Artificial Intelligence 101. Next time, we're going to take a look at the myths of artificial intelligence, some of the myths that are out there, and we're going to debunk the myths around artificial intelligence. Just a little hint, it is not going to take your job. So until next time, stay sharp, stay strong, and stay connected. Like, subscribe, and share.